Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bruce Gordon with the Department of Public Safety. Thank you for joining us here today. About a month from now, Valley Fair is going to be opened up, and there's going to be a lot of thrill seekers taking a ride on a roller coaster or maybe taking a jolt from a bumper car. But our message to people is going to be, when you leave the thrill rides, don't make your trip home a thrill ride. And make sure that when you're driving that you keep people safe in your car and those on the road by not texting and driving. You're going to hear two people speak today. First of all, Donna Berger, who is the director of the Office of Traffic Safety in the Department of Public Safety, and then also Lieutenant Tiffany Nielsen from the Minnesota State Patrol. Donna?
Thank you, Bruce. As the director of the Office of Traffic Safety, I know firsthand that life can change at a moment's notice. Maybe you decided to send a text message saying you were on your way home, or perhaps the person driving next to you decided to take their eyes off the road for just a few seconds to answer that text, thinking that was important. Texting may be how many parents now communicate with their children, but we must all protect each other when we're on the roads. Unfortunately, texting and driving is a habit that is endangering all of us. Behind the steering wheel is no place to multitask. Preliminary numbers show that distracted driving was a factor in 16,900 crashes, resulting in 54 deaths and 165 serious life-altering injuries. It's time that we all took a stance. Speak up if you're in a car with a driver who is distracted. Offer to be the driver's designated texter if you're a passenger in the car. And before you set out to drive, arrange your music, arrange your heating or air conditioning, adjust your mirrors before you put that car into drive. Map out your destination. If you need to use your GPS, enter that in as well. And with so many tweens and teens now owning a cell phone, we need to remember that we're role models to our children. So we have to set good examples when we're driving behind the wheel. Lastly, last year we lost mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, children, and good friends due to distracted driving. Let's not lose another life. Again, speak up. Tell your friends and loved ones to put the phone down before it's too late. Thank you. I'd like to now have Tiffany come up to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Tiffany Nielsen with the Minnesota State Patrol. Last year in 2014, state troopers, police, and deputies cited 3,200 drivers for texting or sending electronic messages while driving. The state law is not so specific to just texting. The law is prohibitive of sending or receiving electronic messaging or accessing the World Wide Web, which includes Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, any application where your eyes are on your phone and not on the road and you're sending or receiving a message. April 13th through 18th, extra enforcement is going to be on Minnesota roadways. It's going to be state troopers, city police officers, and local deputies looking to enforce our distracted driving laws and stop crashes before they become a deadly, tragic event for a family. Now, education and enforcement are both part of the solution to this, but every driver needs to make an individual decision to not utilize their phone to send and receive messages while driving. And I hope that drivers make that decision before they find themselves in a tragic situation. It's heartbreaking to be the driver involved in causing the death or serious injury of a friend or family member, but the potential is there for a deadly crash when the phone is being used while operating a vehicle. In a few moments, we're going to take the reporters out to show you how quickly utilizing your phone or sending and receiving a message while driving can result in a vehicle crash and vehicles going off the roadway. In Minnesota, we've got thousands of vehicle crashes every year, and we know distracted driving is approximately 25% of those crashes. But we also believe that it's underreported. There's oftentimes we go to a crash scene where a driver has rear-ended another driver, a relatively minor collision, and those drivers don't admit to being on their phone while they're driving. But how else do you avoid striking another vehicle other than just plain paying attention? So what we're asking for the public is to make that decision individually before they find themselves in a dangerous situation that could have absolutely been prevented. Is there any questions?
How does it
Oftentimes, the officers are going to be looking for driving conduct that would indicate the driver is inattentive. So that might be failing to signal lane changes, varying speeds, driving slower than the traffic around them, swerving or drifting into neighboring lanes. And we're also going to be looking in vehicles to see what that driver is doing. Is that driver looking down in their lap as if they're looking at a phone, trying to conceal that? Or are they maybe holding that phone up and using their thumb but not putting that phone up to their ear to make a call? So those are the drivers that we're going to be looking for and issuing citations if we believe that distraction was occurring in that vehicle.
And you actually have to see them doing the text message, right? I mean, just seeing them look down in their lap, is that enough?
We will look for behavior that will indicate to us that that driver is distracted. So prolonged looking down in their laps, repetitively looking down versus looking forward at the roadway might be enough for that officer to believe that texting or sending messaging is going on in that vehicle. Now, in order to cite the statute that is the texting or distracted driving statute, we're going to have to be able to prove that that phone was being utilized. However, if that driver was drifting over the lane lines, failing to signal, those are violations we can cite that driver for as well. It is challenging. I can tell you every police officer in the state thinks the same thing. This is a difficult law to enforce because you do have to be able to prove it, and to prove it you're going to have a visual estimation or be able to see that person's phone. But that's why I say every driver has the control over this. If people make good decisions, they're not going to meet a police officer, we're not going to be concerned about them, and they're not going to be involved in a crash. So to avoid a ticket altogether or to avoid a collision, put your phone away while you're driving. We do have a closed course, and I will wear my riot helmet if you would like me to while we're out there. Yeah.
What's the fine or what's the penalty of getting a ticket like that?
This particular violation, the texting while driving or accessing the internet while driving, is a moving violation. It is a petty misdemeanor, and the fines are going to range by county, but typically $125 to $145 per violation. Correct. The other violations that could be occurring, like failing to signal, not stopping at a stop sign, those are all moving violations that would have a similar fine amount, $125 to $145, depending on the county.
Is that enough of a deterrent to get people to stop doing this?
I don't know. I hope it is. I hope people are fearful enough that they make a decision not to do it. But I think if you think about the person sitting next to you and what is the value of their life, is sending a message more valuable than the life of the person sitting next to you? And if that's the answer, then I don't think maybe you should be on the road in the first place. But if you're cognizant and aware and respectful of the other drivers around you, every single one of us deserves to get home safely. We expect that. Then you need to be making good choices on the front end.
All right, we'll take everybody out to the closed course so you can give it a try. I want to also recognize the officers from the Shakopee Police Department. They're here to emphasize that it will be troopers, deputies, and police officers that will be looking for distracted driving during this enforcement period. So we'll head over to the course and we'll explain how everything's going to work there. Thank you.